But these were our leaders procuring 2 cars at worth an amount that could probably feed so many children. And this was just one instance of the wasteful expenditure and extravagance of our leaders. In a country where over 70% of the population lives under $2 a day, we have MPs that earn higher salaries than those in the European countries from where we get aid. And that's not to speak of the so many allowances for sitting in parliament, for their housing, for their cars, and all that stuff. In the current budget of this current financial year that we start in the next month, the money allocated to the leadership of parliament for footwear and clothing, for example, is more than double the money that has been allocated to 84 schools. Not to speak of how much we spend on our president, both his office, the president's office, and his residency, the State House. It's at least $185 million every financial year. And this is while the state of resources, the quality of life of Ugandans is getting worse and worse. Take the example of our roads in the capital city, Kampala, for example. Yes, what you're seeing on the screen are not gardens, it's roads in the capital city. When a friend and colleague of mine, cartoonist Jimmy Spire Sentongo, last year called upon Ugandans and said, let's do a Kampala pothole exhibition where everyone shares photos of potholes with all shapes and sizes, to embarrass this government, to show that the Ugandans did a good job, planted bananas in them. Some were fishing in them to show that, we have roads where you can fish from. But it embarrassed the government. There was reaction from both the president and the Kampala Capital City Authority, and some little funds were sent to not do the roads, but to patch up these potholes, like put some maram, and tomorrow it is washed away by the rain anyway. But the exhibition really became so massive, and Ugandans kept asking, can we do more exhibitions in these other sectors? And I and other digital activists who had been working separately for so long joined Spire and did so many other exhibitions. And these we call them exhibitions, but it's really we are exposing rot and corruption and abuse of human rights and incompetency in so many sectors. So we did that, and the latest exhibition we've done was in February this year in Parliament, where we're exposing still corruption in Parliament. The effects of that exhibition are still unfolding. Recently, the UK and the US sanctioned the Speaker of Parliament over that corruption, among other officials. When the pressure was too much and some MPs tried to raise it on the floor of Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament said, I am not going to discuss social media rumors that are sponsored by homosexuals and agents of imperialists. In fact, the president supported her and said, us who were exposing that corruption are the real enemies of the country because we are agents of imperialists and homosexuals. You see, in our country, homosexuality is apparently the biggest problem. It's the biggest threat to the children. The same children whose feeding and healthcare and education they don't care about. It's such a big problem that recently our MPs passed a law punishing homosexuality with imprisonment and death. The other big problem is apparently social media misuse, which is also punished by 5 years. It was passed also about 2 years ago. And I'm not saying social media is not misused. It is so much misused that I have been a victim of that misuse, of abuse, of smear campaign, of slut shaming, and name it. But for us, social media is the only one avenue Ugandans have to express ourselves. In a country where the cost of physical activism is so high, it's met with bullets in the head, with detention, and all that. My friends and I, when we saw this need, started Agora, a digital platform to foster discourse, to amplify citizens' voices, to fight for human rights and accountability. We are a small team. We have barely existed for a year, but we have achieved so much. I can't imagine how much more we would achieve with the support of all of you, with experiences and ideas, and with resources. We also face so many threats, so many threats. I drive at home many nights thinking this is the last night I'm driving at home, or this is the last day I'm seeing my children. But the biggest threat so far that we have not yet found a way around is the threat of how to keep our platform open, our digital square open, because we know that as day follows night, there will be efforts to close it down. Like Facebook was closed, like the internet was shut down in the 2021 elections. I therefore appeal to all of you to help us with ideas, if you know, on how to keep the only public square that Ugandans have open. Thank you.